Hello everyone, in this video we're going to see the solution to the Codeforces problem A and B of round 697 division 3. So the round is declared unrated but the problems still matter, right? So the first problem is we're given an integer n and we have to check if n has an odd divisor greater than 1 and such that n is divisible by x. Basically we have to find an integer x for n such that x divides n and x is odd. Example is given: if n is 6 then 3 divides 6 and 3 is odd, but if n is equal to 4 then there's no such number, right? N goes to 10 to the power 14, so you cannot run a loop and check for each number because that will surely give you TLE, right? So you have to think of something else than just brute force. And this question is quite simple, okay? Very simple. All you have to do is think a little bit, okay? So whenever there's odd and even, try to divide your output, okay? So here's odd and even here, right? So let's just try to divide what happens if n is odd and if n is even, okay? So n is given. Now I'll just say if n is odd, then what? So if n is odd, then what will I do? So if n is odd, then just think there will always be a divider of n which will be odd, and that will be n itself, because every number is a divisor of itself, right? So for example, suppose n is 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 9. Then it will have an odd divisor, and that will be this number itself, right? So if n is odd, then the answer will always be yes. Okay, then answer will always be yes simply because every odd number has an odd divisor, that is that number itself, right? However, if n is 1, then answer should be no, but n is already greater than or equal to 2, so we don't need to consider that. So if n is odd, the answer will surely be yes, because there will be a divisor which will be odd, and that will be n itself, okay? What if n is even? Now just think, if n is even, then we have to find the odd divisor. Now how are we going to do that? Let's take some example. Suppose we have 6, suppose we have 8, suppose we have 12, right? So 6 is even, which means that it is divisible by 2, right? Now just think, every even number is divisible by 2 and every odd number will not be divisible by 2. Quite simple, right? So that means that every number can be represented as a power of 2 into some odd number m, right? For example, 6 here can be represented as 2 into 3, 8 here can be represented as 2 into 2 into 2, and 12 here can be represented as 2 into 2 into 3, right? So my point is, if the number is a power of 2, for example, if it is 2, 4, 8, 16, then there's no odd divisor. Why? Because it is purely a divisor of 2, and so we'll keep on dividing it by 2, and the only odd divisor which it will have is 1. But if it's not a power of 2, then there will be some odd divisor. Take any example. For example, we have 18. 18 is even, but it's not a power of 2. So there should be any number apart from 2 which is odd as its divisor, right? Because every number is either odd or it's a power of 2. Okay, so quite simple. So this means that if n is power of 2, then answer is no. See out, I'll just say see out no. So if n is power of 2, see out no, end line, anyways I'll put end line, else answer is yes. Okay, so if n is a power of 2, then there's no odd divisor apart from 1, but we don't consider 1, right? Otherwise the answer is yes. Why? Because every number can be represented as a power of 2 into an odd number, or just as a power of 2, right? So if it's just a power of 2, then there's no odd divisor. Otherwise it's a power of 2 multiplied by something odd, and that something odd will be the divisor, and that will give us our answer yes. Okay, so if you want to see the code is this. I'll just remove this because n is never 1, so it doesn't matter. If n is odd, answer is yes. Otherwise I just keep on dividing it by 2, and if I find I just keep on dividing it by 2, and if I find n to be odd, meaning that I'll keep on dividing it by 2, 2, 2, and if there's an odd divisor, then I'll just say flag is equal to 1 and break. Flag is equal to 1, meaning I found an odd divisor. Otherwise I'll keep on dividing it by 2 till it becomes 1, and if it becomes 1, meaning it was a power of 2. Okay, so quite simple, that's it. Now let's look at the second problem. Okay, so second problem states that Polycarp remembered the 2020th year and he is happy with the arrival of new 2021th year. To remember such a wonderful moment, Polycarp wants to represent the number n as a sum of a certain number of 2020 and a certain number of 2021. Basically what it means that we have to check if n can be represented as a sum of a certain number of 2020 and a certain number of 2021. And look at the constraints, it's 10 to the power 4 and 10 to the power 6. So if you try O of n, then it won't pass, right? But we don't need to try O of n. Let's get into a bit of mathematics, okay? So let's just see. Basically what we have to do is we have to check if n is a sum of certain 2020 and certain 2021, right? Mathematically what does it mean? It means that 2020x plus 2021y should be my n where x is a positive integer and y is a positive integer or 0. Okay, so if I find x and y such that 2020x plus 2021y equals my n, then n can be represented as a certain sum of 2020 and a certain number of 2021s. Correct, right? So let's move on this equation a bit. Okay, so if I say 2021y is equal to n minus 2020x, that is correct, right? I just moved 2020x on the or let's try it like this. Let's keep x on the left hand side. Okay, so I can say 2020x is equal to n minus 2021y, right? I can do this. I just simply moved this term on the right hand side of the equation. Okay, now x will be what? X will be n minus 2021y by 2020. Simply, right? So what I did from this equation, I just took the value of x. Okay, now like I said, there should be positive values of x and y satisfying this equation, and only then it is possible. So what I'll do is I'll put values of y. Okay, so I'll put values of y and I'll see if x is possible or not. Okay, meaning that if I put a certain value of y and n minus 2021y is divisible by 2020, meaning that I found a value of x and I already have a value of y, so we have a value of x and y, so it is possible. Okay, so I'll try for different values of y. So y will go from 0 to something, right? Now what will that something be? Will it be n? No, if you put it to be n, then it will give you 12e, but you don't need to put it to n, right? So just look here, if x is decreasing, y will increase, right? So what is the largest value of y which is possible? The largest value of y which is possible should make x 0, right? When will x be 0? X will be 0 when this term is 0, right? And when will this term be 0? So n minus 2021y should be 0, and this will be 0 when y is n by 2021. If I put y is equal to n by 2021, then this term will become 0. That means that the maximum value of y will be n by 2021. So that means that I only need to go from n 0 to n by 2021, because this is the largest value of y in which we can find the minimum value of x, which will be 0. Below that we don't need to find, right? Because we need to find positive integers for x and y, positive or 0. Below that we don't want. Okay, so y from 0 to n by 2021. So O of t into n by 2021, this will not give TLE, okay? This will pass easily. So that's it. That's the only thing I have to do. So I'll just show you the code. Okay, so this is the code. I'll just increase the font size a bit. Okay, here we go. Okay, so what I'm doing is, like I said, I just took n, okay? And then from 0 to n by 2021, I'm saying if n minus 2021 into I is divisible by 2020. Okay, if it is divisible, then we have found a value of x. So I've put flag is equal to 1 and then I've broken out of the loop. Okay, so I here is my x. And what is y? Y is n minus 2021 into I by 2020. So x will have a positive value if n minus 2021 into I is divisible by 2020. If it is divisible, then I have found a value of x, and I already have a value of I have found a value of y, and I already have a value of x, which is what? I. So that's the only thing I did. Simply again, in a nutshell, I just took 2020 x plus 2021 y is equal to n, the mathematical equation for our question. Then 2020 x will become n minus 2021 y, x will be n minus 2021 y by 2020. And then I just put value of y from 0 to n by 2021 because this is the maximum value possible. And then I'm searching if x is possible or not. And for that, I'm dividing this term by 2020. If it is divisible, then yes. If it is not divisible, then there is not a value possible. Okay, so that's it, guys. If you have any doubts, then just put them in the comments. Thank you.